Hey you guys, it's Amy Gretchen. Welcome back to another Project Life Process video. In this video, I'm working on week 43 from 2017. And before I get started, I wanted to show you a new trimmer that I bought. Now, don't hate me because I know I've been plugging the other one for so long. I still really like that. But I decided to try this new one from Tim Holtz. I think it's a little bit newer. And I thought it would maybe probably stay around a little bit longer so that I could suggest it on my channel. But I also really liked that the measurement went up to 6 inches. I didn't want to get the really big one, but I definitely wanted to have one with a little bit more of a ruler, so at least I could cut a 4x6 without having to go to my big trimmer. So I decided to give this one a try, and it works just as well as the other one did. It cuts really small cuts off of the edge. It cuts really straight. It cuts awesome. I can't say enough about it. If you have the other one, no need to buy a separate one. It is just as good, but I just thought that I would go ahead and give this one a try. But if you are in the market, I will definitely have it linked below. It's a great one, and it's a great price. All right, so I'm looking for some scrap paper because I'm going to be working on that 3x3 photo. I just want to add some cardstock to the bottom so that I can do a little bit of journaling. If you've seen any of my other prior videos, you've probably seen me do this a million times. It's something that I do a lot, especially with my Instagram photos, is print them to a 3x3 and then add cardstock to the bottom just so I can do some journaling. So the kit that I'm using this week is Ali Edwards' Story Kit Best. And I always really love being able to use a kit on a spread just because it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. You don't have to go searching around for supplies that you might use. You can just grab a kit and use the cards and use the embellishments that are there. And the other thing that's really great about it is they're already designed to work together. So I love that as well. So you can see that I'm going through the cards and looking for the ones that I want to use. So a lot of the cards say the best or something about being the best. And I didn't want it to be too much of, like every card saying the best. So I tried to pick some that maybe didn't, some that were more like fillers that maybe didn't have that on there. What you're seeing me do right now is some of those cards I thought would be really great stories for the next week. I was living that week, and so I'm like, oh, this would be a really good story for that. So I wanted to make a note that I could use those cards for the next week if I wanted to. So in looking through this kit, I noticed that it had this tag book, or I'm not really sure how else to explain it, but it's just more thin papers, and they're perforated, so you can see that I'm ripping them out. Now, Studio Calico had something like this in one of their kits a little while ago. If you remember, I can't remember what week it was, but I used the numbers. If you recall, I did the 1 through 5, I think, maybe, or 1 through 6. I think I only did 5 of them, and I put them on the photos. And then I think I did a journaling card that had like 1 through 5, and then I wrote a little bit of the journaling there. I didn't want to do the same thing, at least not too soon. So I saw that in the same pack it had, these are about 2 by, let's see, 2 by something, 2 by 2. It wasn't quite, obviously it's not a square. Let's say 2 by 1. That's not right, but it fit almost perfectly where all of them would be, would fit like side by side and up and down, but I had to cut a little bit off the top and the bottom. So I had this idea that I would cut them, or, take them out and put them side by side, and then I would write little bits of journaling from the week in each little container, in each little spot. So that is my initial idea. And you can see as I work through this that I'm kind of struggling to figure out exactly how I want this to go. And you'll see this coming up because I didn't want this video to be too long, but I tried to keep my process in as much as possible. So you can see that I was kind of laying everything out, and then I decided, that's just too many, and I wanted to add a little bit more interest. And so you can see that I grabbed over I think that chipboard embellishment says so good, and that also came in the kit as well. I just wanted like less of those little cards. And so that was one of the reasons why I pulled over that other embellishment that had those ribbons, which is so funny about those ribbons. When I first saw them on a video that Ali did, I was like, huh, that's not really something that I would necessarily use. But like seeing them in real life, like I actually really liked them a lot. I thought that they were really cute, and I thought that they would just go perfect. So I was really happy to be able to use them in this spread. So never look at a kit and say, I will never use that embellishment. Don't make an instant judgment, because you just never know once you get it out of its packaging and start looking at it and get it in your fingers how you're going to feel about it. That's another thing that I really love about a kit is it provides you with products that you may never purchase on your own, but that you can play with and see how you feel about it. That's definitely how I felt about those little ribbons. And that's how I felt about these tags. Other than using the numbers, I was like, I don't really know how to use these tags. So when I had this idea to, put them on a cardstock, because I had an extra 4x6 spot, so I had an extra spot to do this with, I could have easily just taken those tags and put one on each photo and then done a little bit of journaling. But I like the idea of combining them together and making this little embellishment card. But as I'm working through it, well, you'll see, like, once I get to the end and once I've like adhered everything onto it, like I kind of hate it. No, hate it's too strong. I liked it, but for whatever reason, it just was not sitting with me. I just couldn't figure out like what was like bugging. There's something bugging me about it, and I just could not figure it out. So you'll see as I work through it that I figure out a way to make it work for me. Now, one of those things that I did to make it work for me was I decided to put colors side by side. So you can see that there's some like blues, there's like a pink, a gray, orange. And so there's all these different colors. And I was going to like mix up the colors a lot. But what I decided to do was, instead of mixing up the colors, I decided to put the same colors side by side. So you can see that's what I'm doing here, is I took that ribbon that was blue that matched the blue tag, and I decided to put that right next to, so blue next to blue, and then green next to green, and orange and gray. So you get the idea. And for some reason, I liked the feel of that better. I liked having the colors together. It just made more sense. And I don't know, I liked it better that way. So that's the way I decided to go with it. But again, after I adhere it down, and you can see that I've even done a bit of journaling. After I adhere it down, I'm like, I don't know. It just was not sitting well with me, and I wasn't really loving it. But I really, really wanted this to work because it's something different. I've never done anything like this in my project life. And so I just wanted to make it work really badly. So one of the things that I tend to do when I'm stuck and I don't really know what to do is I move on to something else. So I set that aside, and I decided to go back to the spread and kind of look at the spread and to see if there's anything more that I could do, kind of distract myself so that when I go back to it, and I think I go back to it like a second later, because I just decide let's just get this done and let's do the journaling. I was thinking about maybe adding another chipboard or something like that. I decided to let's just get the journaling done. And as I started working on the journaling, I decided one of the things that was bothering me is they were like just stuck really close together. So I thought, maybe if I cut these out, cut the border around it, that I would like it a little bit better, so that I cut right along the color. And so then I'm letting that 4x6 card be the border. And I'm telling you guys, that was the difference from liking it to not liking it. And I'm not going to make you sit through all of the cutting, but I really liked it after I made those cuts around the border. I really started liking it. So some of the journaling that I talked about was just little bits and pieces of things that happened during the week. That list there that's in orange that says favorites up at the top, it was just some of the favorites from the fall, like stews and soups and sweaters and the color. I talked about was really grateful that Adam was around all week and that Megan is still obsessed with this slime, just stuff like that. That I just little bits and pieces of the week, little things that I would want to remember. So I set that aside, feeling pretty happy about it being done. I don't know. It doesn't look bad here on the screen. I think it looks really great in real life. So I wish I could show you how it looks in real life. So I'm moving on with the rest of the spread now that that's done and that big portion is done. I'm really glad that I tackled it because I really do love the way it looks. I decided that I wanted to add my date onto that card. And because everything's so black, again, I wanted to use white ink, and instead of using white ink, I'm decided that I'm going to just emboss it, and that way it would be a really stark white, and it would show up a lot better. So that's what I decided to do. You can see that I've kind of wrecked my Versamark ink, but I am going to start working on a December daily, some of my supplies. And I actually did buy a new Versamark ink pad so that I could use with December daily. So I'll probably keep that old one. By the way, I've had that old one for over a decade now. So I'll probably keep that one and have it on hand when I want to use stamps like my date stamp runner that's really messy. And so I won't wreck the new pad. I'll just use that old one for that. All right, so now I'm moving on to the majority of the journaling for the spread. So I grabbed over my date stamp, and that's because I typically, for these 3x3 photos that I make into a card, I always put the date on there. I like to reflect Instagram, having the date and then just a little bit of journaling there. So that's really what I'm doing when I'm making that card. So the next thing that I'm going to go ahead and do, so this chip, it says chip on there. It actually came from a package. This was the outside of a package of some chocolate chip cookies. Sorry, I couldn't get that out. And I think I talked about this in week 41 because I was going to maybe use it then, but you won't have seen that video yet because I'm going to post this one first. Anyway, they're delicious chocolate chip cookies that get delivered to your door. And they come hot and it's amazing. And so we got some this week because it's really hard to resist. And so I wanted to put that in this week. And of course it goes great with that card that says the best because it really was the best. Another thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to add one more ribbon. So you can see that I added the ribbon to that 3x4 striped card. And then of course there's one on that all those like tags, embellishments that I made. And then I wanted to add one more. So I just grabbed the yellow one, and the yellow one, I think it says best memory or something like that. And that will go along with the story from my daughter and their Monster Mash dance date group, whatever you'd call it. So I wrote a little bit of that there. That card says, with the star, it says, so totally great. I love Allie's cards also because we're from the same generation. We're basically the same age, and she speaks kind of the same thing. She uses words like totally and rad. And so I don't know. I kind of love that too because it makes me feel like the journaling cards are even a little bit more personalized. All right. So I went ahead. There was more that I wanted to say for that other 3x3 photo that is on that 4x6 card. I went ahead and did some just typing on the computer and printed that out because I had a little bit more to say. It was my daughter is looking for a violin that's going to get her through college. So it's quite an investment for us. And I wanted to write a little bit more about that there and her process and just how excited she is and just seeing her like totally lit up about it. So you can see that I finally decided on where to put that ribbon or both the ribbons. I'm going to go ahead and adhere that down. So I've got all my journaling done. You can see that I actually have one space left. And because I'm posting this before I'm posting week 42, you won't have seen that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday card is actually the backside of a card from week 42. So you'll see that when I post that coming up soon. All right, you guys, so that is it for week 43. Thank you so much for being here. I really hope you're able to get some inspiration from this. If nothing else, hopefully I've encouraged you to look at your kits a whole different way and try products that you've never tried before. All right, you guys, we will catch you in the next video. Bye.